So, hey, Joe, good to have you back on the show here.
Good to be back. Thanks for having me again. The first one was a good one, so I'm glad you I'm glad
Yeah,
you thought it would be a good idea to bring me back for a little extra.
yeah. So, I like to kind of record these and batch them up and then, get them into the queue here. But, you mentioned something at the beginning of our last conversation that I really want to dig into here. You said that you took like a hiatus for like a year or two in between your previous business, WP Buffs, and before starting this new one, Driftly. Um, I mean, I always hear about other founders taking these hiatus, like taking a long hiatus, and like it seems like so much fun and relaxing and rejuvenating. And but then I'm thinking like I could never do that. I'm always working, even when we do a ton of vacations, we travel all the time. I've got kids and everything. Love to spend that time, but like I'm still working on stuff. You know, how do you do it, and what did you do?
Yeah, it was probably like 6 to 9 months
Okay.
of a hiatus is what I would think about it of. Uh, so I think that I always had in my mind that the reason I got into startups was like I wanted control over my own time. Really, I never liked this idea of like, okay, you have this job that you like work 8 hours a day. Like the whole 8 hours, even if you like what you're doing, it's like kind of controlled by someone else. Like someone is like, do these things during this job, and then you have your like 2 hours of commute, and it's like you don't get to choose. Like someone's saying like you have to be in this car, and then what? You have like 3 hours at night to like do dinner and like maybe like 2 hours before your kid goes to sleep or something. I always like wanted more control over what I was doing in terms of the time I have. I just want like control over like 24 hours a day. Like that sounds amazing. And I think that WP Buffs eventually got to this point. Like it was a pretty successful company. It still is a pretty successful company. It's actually more successful now with Nick having taken over in the last 6 months than it was with me as CEO. But it got to that point where I was, I, my strength is more in the early stages of
Yeah.
startup and not as much
Like
in
this is
like
starting to
managing
feel like a
people.
job.
Yeah, it was starting to feel like it was weighing on me a little bit, and taking up time that I kind of wanted back. And so I decided to take this kind of time off because I wanted to get back to that full control over my time. And I'm not gonna lie, it was actually kind of scary. I'm actually, I think, pretty similar to you. Like a lot of what you're saying resonates a lot with me because a lot of my mindset was like, should I be working right now? Like, should I be doing something? Like, what impact am I having right now?
Well,
Should I be being more productive with my time? And it was weird a little bit to honestly like force myself to
I
to
think I
enjoy
think in,
that
in my
anymore.
case it's a little bit. There are times when I get burnt out, and that's when we take a vacation, and we do those several times a year. Um, and I also do like founder retreats with other founder friends, and those are just as fun and energizing. But like the issue that I have a lot, I don't know if you relate to this, is like I enjoy working too much. Like like I have too much fun working, like especially designing and building software. Um, there's obviously aspects of building a business that are sort of a grind, but um like I'm always hacking on something. Like I got to be creating something, and I'm into music and stuff too, but that's more of a hobby, and I don't have the energy to like fully produce music like I used to when I was younger. So I need these like creative outlets, and for me, that's actually building software, which happens to be my work and my business, right? Um, like, do you ever run into that where it's like I got to be making something?
Yeah, I and what you're saying, it it totally feel that because that was most of my journey with WP Buffs. I think I got to the point where I was just I fell a little bit out of love with the role I was in and a little bit out of love with the WordPress community that I joined 8 9 years ago, and it was just something different than it is today. Um, And that's not at all meant to say the WordPress community isn't awesome. It has a lot of great aspects I still love to this day. I still love open source software. I'm still a big proponent that the more open source software there is online, the better the web would be in general. But it was just time for me to make a change, I think. And SaaS was always there in the back of my mind to try out doing something
For sure.
in this world. I think
So what'd you do?
Like that shift of community. I want to talk about what I did, but I also wanted just to quickly mention the idea of like taking 6 months off was always really appealing to me because like the last generations, like they worked for 30 or 40 years and they took a retirement at the end.
Yeah.
You know, people have heard this before. Like that's just not. I'm not into that. Like I want to enjoy like right now. Like I want to enjoy part of that retirement right now. Like why would I wait unless I really enjoyed working what I was doing? Like I'm like you. I would probably keep working if I was really enjoying it, and now I've refound that in Driftly, right? So like now I'm on this path again where I'm like, here we go. Forgot to shower today. I must really be liking what I'm working on, you know? So I totally get that. Day to day, people ask me this all the time because I like listening to startups for the rest of us all the time. It's like most people don't want to like, you know, hang out and just sit on a beach after they're done with, you know, a semi-successful venture. I'm at the beach right now. I've been at the beach for 6 months, so I do enjoy the beach. I don't think there's anything particularly wrong with that. But I filled up my day, did a lot of reading. I did a lot of listening to podcasts. I did a lot of cooking. I spent a lot of time not just like with my family, but like working on my like role in my family. So like planning weekend trips for my son, like things to do on the weekends. It sounds like a little thing, but like when you're working for 10 hours a day, you drive an hour home, like you're tired. You wake up on a Saturday, you're like, what are we doing today? Like I want to show him fun stuff, but it's not some of that stuff that you want to do that's like exciting or new or fun or whatever you want to do. Like it doesn't just come into
it actually takes work to like
happen.
Plan what you're going to do and find interesting ideas. Yeah,
that's right. And I spending some like more of my time on that. I read the whole Expanse novella, so like I don't know if you're into sci-fi, but there's like 9 books and like 7 mini stories, and I read all those. And
someday when I take a hiatus, I'm going to go deep on sci-fi.
There you go. And I learned to cook a little bit more, which was
that's
nice.
Cool.
I still do, like I'm into weightlifting, and I don't totally dislike the idea of like, you know, eating for fuel. Like I like the idea of like powering my body to be able to like do certain athletic things, but it was also nice to be able to like dive a little bit more into that world, which before it was like I would do okay. I'd like put something in the slow cooker or put something in the pressure cooker or like, you know, batch cook, and it was like fine. But I think I'm looking, you know, I'm doing a little bit more recipe stuff. Nothing, you know, fancy that takes all day, but you know, I'll look up recipes and have Sterling send me things, and go to the grocery store or go to the market and find fresh ingredients and try to make something that is a little bit more. And that's been, you know, it's something new that I hadn't done as much in the past few years, as I was just like, I was ordering lunch, you know, I was like doing the meal delivery, you know, like I want to work. I'm working on WP Buffs, and
are you
feature and tales, but
I mean, now that you're working again on Driftly, and having taken this time off, what's new in your working routine now, like in terms of your lifestyle or time investment or schedule or anything like that?
Everything's different this second time around.
Are you generally working
Jacob
less?
I'm working a lot less. Jacob and I had never met before we started this, so I could talk about, you know, our co-founder meet and actually starting the company sort of thing. But one big thing that we talked a lot about was like how we wanted this company to run. And we both wanted to run, you know, a calm company. Neither of us are super interested in like hiring a big team to do a lot of stuff. Like we want to stay small. And I was very much about that because I did the big team before. And it was great. Not to say it wasn't successful. It was successful. The team's happy. The business does well. But I kind of lost my way a little bit. I want to be the maker. I want to be involved in the day to day, and I want to grow something that scales without necessarily having to hire 50 people to run the day to day. So we had that in terms of like wanting to stay a little smaller. And yeah, Jacob has a full-time job, so he kind of like works a few hours a day on this, and I work a few hours a day on this. It's actually been like a really easy transition of like, you know, my day-to-day now is like I take Morrison to daycare, I go to the gym, I come home and eat, I work for a few hours, I'll watch some soccer in the afternoon, I go take Morrison to swimming, and I come home. Like that's like my day.
That's
and
cool.
It's really just we're both like pretty part-time on this. Neither of us feels like we have pressure that we have to work and get VC funding and go to the moon or anything like that. We've made that agreement before we even started that like, hey, if this takes a year to get to 10,000 MRR, that's cool. If it takes 2 years, that's also cool. Let's take our time and enjoy the process.
We've got lives, and that's just important, if not more, obviously more important, right?
Totally. And I'd also just add it is easier. Jacob's a first-time founder, so this is his kind of first venture. It's definitely easier for me, like having pretty good financial security for my first business to not put any pressure on timing. Right? That's the whole point, is to be able to do what I want. So maybe Jacob feels a little bit more push to be working on things, but we're both definitely on the same page that like exactly we want our work to fit around our lives and not our lives to fit around our work.
In the previous episode I had with Corey Haynes recently, he is sort of looking for a technical co-founder, and we I was talking about like how like finding a co-founder is so difficult, not just to find like the skill set match, but like the career stage match and being able to self-fund. And it sounds like, especially, both being in alignment on like the calm approach to building a business, that really helps a lot. But hey, I wanted to ask you about kids. I've got two girls over here. What do you got over there?
10-hour episode. Let's go.
I know. Because actually before this, I was, just checking out your Twitter to see what you're up to lately, and something new. I just saw this paternal.life. I don't know if you actually wanted to like promote this or not, but like.
Sure. Yeah. It's. I mean, I'm not. I don't go on podcasts to promote things, but if someone hears something that they like and they want to go sign up, like it's just not really a business; it's just a side project. But
but that's what I want to hear about. I mean, tell me about your kids.
Yeah. So I've got one little one for the time being. Morrison is 2.5 now. He's the twos are a wild stage, man. I'm sure that you either know or you remember, but the.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, he's like super. He's learning to swim. He's loving dinosaurs. Like Dino Ranch is like his jam.
Oh yeah.
Like if you're not a parent, you have no idea what I'm talking about. If you're a parent, there's like the 10 shows that are like pretty popular on.
Yeah, we're talking to all the parents who are still tuned in. Everyone else left.
Yes, there you go. Everyone else is gone. But coming home, he's like Dino Ranch, let's go.
Nice.
He's eating the world these days. He's like, I don't know, constant growth spurt, it feels like. His mom's and his dad are both pretty tall, so he's kind of like he's a growing boy, but very active. He's like at the talking stage where everyone is going to develop at a different stage, right? Every kid.
Yep.
At 2, he was starting to like chatter, and now he's like pronouncing things correctly, like full sentence, like sentences that are.
I remember there's a phase in the 2s where they start to verbalize, but there's a good like 6 months there where only the parents can understand what they're actually saying, and everyone else, it's like
so funny.
Yeah.
Before I was a parent, I was like, that's such bullshit. Like you don't know what they're saying. Like come on.
The parents know every word. Like 6 months before everyone else can hear it. Yeah.
That's right. Because you hear it all the time. You hear these repeated words. It's funny because my wife and I were both. There are a couple things that he says. We're like, what are you talking? Like, what is that? I can't even remember what they are right now.
You know what we have? So my girls are 6 and 8, and I don't know if you have this feature on. I don't know if you use an iPhone. On an iPhone, they like fairly recently you can put a photos widget on your home screen, and it'll randomly pull photos from your library, right?
Yeah.
It's the most brilliant. I literally think it's my favorite feature of the iPhone, hands down.
I think I have it on my iPad. Is it? Let me see if it.
So like they added this like widgets feature on iOS where you can just
Yeah, is it like this thing, like these widget
Yes.
things?
yeah
Yeah. So see that widget of the family? There's like a family thing there. Yeah.
yeah so
Yes.
basically on the first screen of my iPhone every single day I have a random photo pulled from my history from the phone, and my wife has the same thing, and we are and it's just
Nice.
constantly resurfacing memories, and of course like 95% of my photos are of my kids, right? So like
This is the adjustment that happens to the camera, or the photos in someone. They go to 95% of the kids, and like, where are the photos of me? I have no photos of myself.
Because like I'm not a person who just naturally goes through my old photos. It's like not something I do. But when the iPhone surfaces it to me every single day, it's a way for me to like jump back a few years ago to see like, and dude, it is such a trip now to see my kids when they were 2, now that they're 6 and 8. Or 2 or 3 years old, and we have videos of them back then and stuff, and it's like, oh my god, they sounded totally different, and like it's starting to feel like, man, I don't know if I remember when they actually looked and sounded like that, it's so weird.
Do they like look familiar? Like, I know they're the same
No,
person,
yeah, they're
like,
I mean, it's not so
of their baby
it's not so distant that like I don't, and so many amazing memories, but it's like the evolution and the changes that you see when you get a few years out, it's like it becomes so much more drastic, I
feel like
pretty
it's
incredible
drastic now. I look at baby photos and I'm like, bro, like how are you 5 pounds when you were born? Like you are 35 pounds of like boy now. Like this is crazy.
So you guys have the one?
Yeah, the one, and so like life journey is as of the plan for right now, we're moving back to DC in a couple weeks. We've been traveling for the past couple years, and now ready to settle back. DC is home. My parents are there. My sister's there. We've a cousin and her 2 kids. So, like that's where like the family we want to be close to is. So headed back there, and yeah, that's what will be for the foreseeable future.
Nice.
If you check in me in a year and a half, the number of kids may have changed. And
I'm
still figuring that out, but
very cool.
That's a TBD.
I hear that. Yeah, we
And you have just the 2?
2, and they're 2 years apart, which I really like. So my brother and I are 2 years apart. I'm 2 years older than him. And I really liked that separation, like being pretty close in age, because we could play sports together. We could have a lot of the same friends and stuff like that. That was really valuable.
Funny.
Yeah,
I find it so funny that you're and your brother are 2 years apart, so your kids are 2 years apart, because if our plan comes to fruition, it'll be about 3 or 3.5 years, and I'm 3 years older than my sister, and Sterling is 3 years younger than her sister. So it is so like it doesn't like. I don't know like how much you meant for that to happen, but it seems like there's this like leaning towards like kind of how we grew up, and so like we're like, of course, like I want my kids to look that way. It's so funny.
For us, it was pretty intentional, I would say. I knew we didn't want to only have one. We briefly talked about 3, but we're like we're good with 2. But then
that conversation probably happens somewhat frequently.
Yeah. But for me, being pretty close to my brother, 2 years apart. I mean, we were like the best man at each other's weddings, and like, especially as we got older, like high school, college, being able to have like shared groups of friends and stuff, that was really valuable. Because I know people who have siblings 5, 6, 7 years apart, and it's like it's completely different lives, right?
Totally different. Even like 3.5 is slightly different. Like my sister and I did not have like shared groups of friends. Like I was a senior when she was a freshman, and so it was like they're kind of different lives. And like I was in high school and she was in middle school, so it's just like the 2 years apart is definitely like you're at similar enough stage, I think, to be able to live similar lives. And when you're farther apart, it's a little bit harder, which may have its pros as well, right? Like maybe I'm sure there were times in growing up where you were like, I kind of wish I had my own life. Like my brother's always like in my business,
Yeah,
so
it had sort of a bit of both, but like,
totally.
yeah. How about traveling with with the kiddo? He sounds like he must be on board with all the traveling you guys have done.
Whether he's on board or not,
Yeah, he's coming.
So yeah, it's been really great actually. I think probably a lot of people are nervous to travel with a kid that young, especially today when he's not vaccinated yet, and there's still risk of COVID. What we did was we traveled places and stayed for long periods of time.
Yeah.
So we weren't on like a flight every week. We weren't going backpacking through Southeast Asia. We were going to places with good healthcare, with good, internet access, and staying there for enough time to like kind of get a home base there, so we could get a little help with childcare, so that we could form our lives in a safe as way as possible. Obviously, like in Mexico, we were flying down to Mexico, so
Cool.
Mask up, distance in the airport, trying to go in family bathrooms where there weren't like a million toilets flushing. It's like these things that you can do to minimize your risk. And then once we got there, honestly, like living our lives as same we did in DC and being as safe as possible.
That's great.
We're not going to any big raves or concerts or anything, so safe there.
It's nice that you guys missed the schooling with COVID thing.
Yeah,
like
that was a big challenge in DC in the past, as it is in a lot of cities. But I think it's starting to figure itself out, and not as many cancellations these days. We're in Florida now, so
yeah,
no cancellations for anything. But the age of traveling was really good. When he is one, he goes wherever you want. He's and even more than that. Who knows? Nature versus nurture. Like, who knows? Maybe he was just born this way. But I think that having traveled a lot, having met a lot of new people, spent time with a lot of different kinds of people, has grown up with Spanish and English, like grew up sleeping in different places often. Yep. There's something to be said for consistency, and has its pluses, but he's a pretty resilient kid. Like, he kind of, we'll go to a new place and he'll sleep in a new room.
We've traveled
to him and he's fine, so.
Totally, man. I mean, we've traveled a ton with our kids.
Cool.
They've been to the Philippines with us. My wife has family in the Philippines.
Far trip.
I've been there twice, and once with kids, and let's see, when we went last time, they were like 1 and 3 on like the 20-hour flight. We did like a month out there, but we've also done like, so early on, before my second was born, the first one was like, she was like a year and a half. We were pregnant with the second one. We did the round the country, like living in Airbnbs for about 7 months. And ever since then, I think that sort of like solidified like travel as like a family identity kind of thing for us, right? Like, totally. And ever since then, we're doing tons of trips throughout the year.
Love that.
So and we try to travel, and so you're right. Like I think ever since then, my kids get super excited about like going to a hotel or an Airbnb. We're like, we want to go like explore like a beach or an area or something. Or like, we just want to jump on the bed, so we're cool. Whatever we're doing.
Free orange juice.
Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah, I love travel. I've always been a big traveler. My wife's always been a big traveler, so it's matched our identity, and I love to hear that it feels like it's become like part of your family identity, because that's
and they get like, super psyched about it. Like even like long road trips, like they're all up for it.
I think the travel. I've been thinking about this a lot recently, because I think that like my wife's she's like a 5th or 6th generation Texan, so her family is like, they're not just like, we live in Texas. They're like, Texas forever. And, she easily could have like, been part of all that. But she traveled a lot growing up. And she kind of found her own path in life. And that like led her to like super liberal DC, and like led her to me. And like, these are things that like, I think probably without travel may not have happened. And as someone who's loved travel for his whole life, like, I know that it helps me enormously to like not only empathize with different kinds of people, but just like learn about like what the world is really like, not through like Fox News. It's like there's a lot of different like kinds of people out there, and a lot of different not just people, but like places.
Totally.
And like there's desert and there's mountain and there's beach and there's lake and there's
And
all
it's so
these different
cool.
languages, and like to show kids that early is to me that's like one of the most valuable parts of education. Like math's cool, like history's cool, but like travel and like sociology and all this stuff is like that's what I think can really
Totally.
open eyes to, like,
I mean, just that they get to see so much more of the world at such a younger age than I was. Like we've taken them on like a train trip through Europe, and we've gone to the Philippines, and we've gone a bunch all over the country with them, and like and we're gonna do another like long road trip this summer across the country. I mean, and I think it's a lot easier now to travel. Right, like the tools for traveling are so much easier, right? Like we used to bring out like paper maps back in the day, and now we've got iPhones and navigation and stuff like that, and Ubers
Airbnb
and stuff.
To find a place.
Yeah, Airbnb. Yeah.
Exactly.
It's amazing.
Agreed. Yeah. So we've loved travel. It's been great.
Yeah, cool, man. Well, hey, it was great to catch up with you. Let's do it again sometime. It's always cool to like connect with other dad founders who are kind of doing this thing, like especially running like the calm lifestyle, calm business thing. I think that's what a lot of us are in it for. So yeah, really cool
if
to connect.
People are at the end of this episode and like you're a dad listening to this, maybe you're like a dad and like a remote worker or like a SaaS person like Brian or I, but we talked about this a little bit. But if you go to paternal.life, I set up this Discord channel or Discord server for dads. And it's just like 10 of us in there right now. It's just a fun thing. And I set up the website a couple days ago. So, but we get to hang out there and, talk shit about our kids. I'm just kidding. We get to, try to be better dads and husbands. And it's just kind of like, there's so many mom groups out there. Like those are easy to find, but like, and I always have questions about like, and I'm not going to like post on Facebook. Like, it's just not, I'm not like, no, thanks for me. But I like want a place to like talk to other dads and like ask them about, hey, how are you finding, how are you selecting preschool, daycare for your kids? Like my kid's crying every morning. I posted that in there and got some really good feedback and,
Yeah. And I think, I don't know what the mix of folks in there, maybe I'll try to get in there, but the,
love to have you.
It's also cool to connect with other dads who are entrepreneurs and doing this like work remotely lifestyle sort of thing. I mean, I have so many great friends that I've grown up with, but they're just in jobs, right? They're not really doing what we do, and it's a different lifestyle.
I thought about making it for remote like dads, but I wanted to invite all my dad friends in there, and some of them are not. So I was like,
and that's cool too.
It's kind of a place for all my friends to like who are dads to hang out, because there can be a little bit of a disconnect between like when you're a parent and when you're not a parent.
And now everybody's remote too, so that helps.
Totally. Totally. Yeah. So it's kind of exactly. It's like, well, are you a dad? Then you're a remote dad. Congratulations. Come on in. Yeah.
Cool. All right, Joe. Yeah, this was fun.
Yeah. Thanks for having me, Brian. Appreciate it.
All right. See ya.